Hello everyone, welcome to Everything Arsenal. Now it looks like we're going to have another busy week ahead. Only two signings announced so far. Obviously, the first one was Kepa that happened last week. That's our backup goalkeeper sorted. So no issues with the goalkeeper situation right now. He's only signed for 5 million, so that is a good deal for me. I have no problem with that one. If it allows us to save money for the other positions, absolutely fine. We also completed the signing of Zubimendi, or we announced him recently as well. So that was the second deal done. Another midfielder, basically a replacement for Thomas Partey in that midfield, is definitely going to be starting games for us next season. Excited to see how it does for us. Now, those two are done, but we still have a lot to do. People have been asking what's the latest on Norgard. We were told that he was going to come for a medical, so I'm sure this will also be announced this week. This will be our third signing of the transfer window, and it will only cost us 15 million as well. So from those three signings, just around like 75 million in total. But those are not the only deals that we are trying to do. So Norgard will happen this week, but which other will happen this week? Now, we have updates on Gyokeres from David Ornstein and a couple of other journalists, also updates on Eze, Madueke, and all that. So let's go with Gyokeres first, and let's go with what ESPN have had to say. Arsenal are close to sealing a move for Viktor Gyokeres. Sources have told ESPN a full agreement is close for a fee of 65 million euros, which is 56 million pounds. The structure of the deal is still to be finalized, but there is optimism from Arsenal that they will get the man. So this one is looking very likely as hours go by, as days go by. It came out of nowhere, to be honest. I thought it was going to be Sesko, but from yesterday, it's looking very likely that it's going to be Gyokeres. The Sesko deal is basically off. It's looking like he's going to actually end up staying at Leipzig, and the only striker out there who's going to really improve our team is Viktor Gyokeres, and he's the only one who's available at the moment. And on top of that, he really wants to join Arsenal. He's already told his campions to join us, already told his agent, already spoken to Arteta. We're also hearing Andrea Berta was there over the weekend, and he spoke to the player. Arteta spoke to the player on the phone, and it's going to be done. I think it's definitely going to be done. I don't think there's a plan C. I don't think there's any way that Arsenal are going to like back away from this one and say, okay, we're not going to get you, we're going to go for someone else. I just don't think that is going to happen. So that is the update from ESPN. Next up, it's from David Ornstein. We'll have to see if the clubs can find a common ground on a transfer fee. Right now, I don't know that to have happened. There are some suggestions on social media that it has, but that's not my information right now. That's not to say it won't change in the next minutes and hours and days, because it's a situation that's being worked upon. So it's not used weeks or months, it's just minutes, hours, and days. So that is great. There's, as you said, there's other sources that are reporting that it's already done. Andrea Berta came from Portugal with other Arsenal officials, and they came from there as they boarded the plane. They basically said it's done with Viktor Gyokeres. He will be an Arsenal player. David Ornstein says he doesn't know anything about that yet, about it being completely done. But I'm sure this week you're going to get that. Here we go. You're going to get that confirmation from David Ornstein, and Gyokeres is going to be an Arsenal player. I cannot wait for that. Here we go. Just to make sure that we're definitely going to get the striker that we needed, and basically the player that has been the most on fire of any striker over the last 2 years. So I cannot wait for it. So that is information from David Ornstein. Also, this from David as well. It is thought that Viktor Gyokeres' focus on Arsenal and rejecting the likes of Man United, Juventus, and Saudi Arabia would have carried a lot of favor within the Ghana's hierarchy. That's true as well. If there's people who wanted Sesko, maybe even in the fan base, still there's a few people who wanted Sesko here and there, including a lot of the Arsenal hierarchy, from the manager to the board. A lot of people who wanted Sesko, but as David Ornstein said there, a player who said, no, I do not want to go play for my former manager at Man United. I do not want that. I don't want to go to Italy to play for Juventus. I do not want to go for the money in Saudi Arabia. I'm not going to wait for any other teams like Barcelona or Bayern Munich to come for me. No, I want to go to Arsenal. That is the player. That is the team I want to go to. Him removing his own salary to help Arsenal pay for him. Yeah, the hierarchy will be like, okay, that is a player who really wants to join us. Why not? As long as Sporting don't ask for 90 million or something, we should go and get him. Let's go and try and make a deal happen. The player really wants to make it happen. Andrea Berta, go to Portugal and try and make this deal happen. And it's looking like it's advanced now. I think it's a combination of factors, but I'd like to know what has really like made them push that button. Is it the fact that Gyokeres has really like looked like he wants to join Arsenal, so they've decided, you know what, let's just go for the player who really wants to come here. Let's not focus on the player that is not sure and the agent that is not sure and the team that is complicated to work with. Or have they looked at it like, okay, this guy is expensive, let's just go for the cheaper one? Or is it just a combination of all of that? Which one is it? But hearing that from David Ornstein as well, that Gyokeres rejected all of those teams, that is absolutely amazing. And this too, Sammy Mockbell says well-placed sources have indicated that Andrea Berta flew to Lisbon towards the end of last week for key face-to-face discussions with sporting counterparts over a deal for Viktor Gyokeres that could be worth around 70 million. So total package will be close to that, 56 million plus add-on, so it will get close to that 70 million eventually. I think around 67, 68. But again, for me, I thought Gyokeres was going to be like an 85 million pound player. So this is already a bargain for me. Getting a player who scored 100 goals in 2 seasons, that is a bargain. So, and this is a position that we really need. Even if he wasn't a player that had scored 100 goals, this is a position that we really need. So why not get the striker that has been on form? He knows where the goal is. He's been scoring goals for his club, for his country. Premier League or the Liga Portugal in Portugal, and then internationally for Sweden, Champions League for Sporting. He's been on form, so why not go for the player that he's ready to play for you? He wants to come to you, and he's on form, and he's been scoring a bunch of goals and assisting and all that. That would be fantastic. Arsenal have advanced on a deal for Viktor Gyokeres because of frustrations with RB Leipzig over Benjamin Sesko. This is according to Miguel Delaney. There is a feeling that Leipzig have kept an unnecessarily hard line on price when the two clubs were on good terms last summer. Sesko at that point decided to stay for another year because he believed it would be best for his development when a deal could have been struck for 50 million. It was felt that Leipzig would then be willing to let Sesko go this year for the right package and at least 10 million pounds more in price, but they have held firm on a total fee of 80 million euros. So yeah, we also have to understand that things have changed. Andrea Berta is now the sporting director. It's no longer Edu. Edu might have had good relationship with the Sesko agent, good relationships with the RB Leipzig board, but now it's a different man in charge of Arsenal. So there's not that connection. Maybe Andrea Berta is like, nah, me, I wasn't there when you guys are talking about the money. For me, I feel like Sesko is a 40 million pound player, and Leipzig are like, no, we thought you had a good relationship, but no, things have changed. It's not just Edu has left Arsenal, by the way. There's a couple of other people in the board who have left, and there's a couple of new people as well. And Andrea Berta is working with these guys in the board. And, even though many people might have wanted Sesko in the board, depends, 90 million, and the player not sure if he wants to come to Arsenal. The agent has not really been pushing for the move, and at the same time you have a player who's rejecting other teams and he's pushing for that move, and his agent is happy to work with Arsenal, and maybe Sporting, although they're tough to negotiate with as well, maybe they're more willing to drop the price more than Leipzig, and maybe their starting price is lower than what Leipzig are starting with Sesko. So I guess Arsenal just decided to move with that one. So that is according to Miguel Delaney. For me, this would be an absolutely exciting signing. Let's see how it goes. Lastly, on CNN Portugal, they say Viktor Gyokeres is ready to fly to England, and the striker started checking in his luggage. And the Arsenal entourage left Lisbon, they were almost completely aligned with Sporting. So basically, this report from Portugal says that yes, our hierarchy was also in. They also say that they were in Portugal, and as the Arsenal hierarchy were leaving, they basically had already agreed with Sporting. So is it a case of we're waiting to hear what they agreed on and all that? Let's just wait and see. I think we're going to get a here we go very, very soon. The way we're getting all these updates all of a sudden, it's looking very likely that it's going to happen, and Sesko is not going to happen. So that makes it even more likely that Gyokeres is going to we're going to get a here we go first. And the way it's going, the way Gyokeres is paying his own money, he might give us his here we go by himself online. So let's see. What about Eze? What's the latest on him? ESPN are reporting that Arsenal are also continuing talks with Crystal Palace and Eberechi Eze. Sources said things are positive between the three parties. It is unclear if Arsenal can sign both Eze and Noni Madueke after completing a move for Viktor Gyokeres. It should be done fast. I mean, we're talking about 4 of them: Gyokeres, Eze, Madueke, and Rodrigo. I also doubt it's going to be all 4 of them, because that's a lot of money, unless we're getting rid of Martinelli. But I would like it to be Gyokeres and Eze fast. again, the Noni Madueke one is not guaranteed to be happening because Arsenal and Chelsea have to also agree on a fee. Eze is the guy that I'd want, and Eze wants to join Arsenal. As I've said, all three parties positive: Arsenal, Crystal Palace, and Eze. Eze wants to join Arsenal. Arsenal want Eze there, and Crystal Palace are ready to sell as long as you activate that release clause, and they're ready to sit down for negotiations. That is great. So again, I would live him right now, but again, the way it has moved so quickly with Gyokeres, I mean, we just heard about Gyokeres on yesterday morning, and boom, within a couple of days, it's looking like it's almost done. So if they can do the same with Eze, even though they're not making it right now, as long as the time you hear about Eze is just say, hey, Eze is going to sign for us, he's agreed, he's coming for a medical, blah, 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 and it takes 2-3 days to get it done. So everything is positive as of now. Let's wait and see. I don't think, again, the likes of Andrea Arsenal have reported that all of these deals are not really related. So it's not a case of whether we should be getting Eze or Madueke, according to many journalists, but this particular report from ESPN are saying it's unclear so far if they're related. Miguel Delaney says Arsenal are working on a bid that could allow them to sign Eberechi Eze without a substantial sale this summer. Arsenal are aiming on a structure that will amount to 3 installments of £20 million. There is a hope that suitable deal can be worked out. So obviously, we are working on a lot of things at the moment. Andrea Berta has been working on getting Gyokeres done, potentially keeping Noni at Arsenal. We've just announced the signing of Zubimendi and Lewis Kelly as well. So I don't think he's moving slow. I don't think all of these deals, you can just get them done in one day. No, there's a lot to do. And I'm very happy that we focused on Gyokeres first to try and get that one done. And then if we turn our attention to Eze after that, that would be great. As long as we can have like at least 80% of the business done before preseason, I'm actually willing to wait for Mosquera after preseason has already started. Even Rodrigo, if it's still possible to get him at the end of the month, that is also fine. But if you can get Gyokeres and Eze through the door alongside Zubimendi and Kepa right now and Nogard, that would be great. So you can have 4 or 5 signings there. At the beginning of preseason, and training is coming up this week. Players are returning for training. So that's the report from Miguel Delaney on Eze. He also says that Eberechi Eze's preference is understood to be Arsenal should he leave Crystal Palace, although sources close to the situation believe Liverpool may yet activate long-standing interest. No club has yet made a concrete approach to Palace. So Liverpool wanted him before, Tottenham wanted him before, but the player wants Arsenal. He played for Arsenal before, obviously, and I mean, he might want to stay in London, obviously, and maybe he sees there's a gap there in the number 8 position. Maybe he's going to be playing as a number 10 sometimes. Maybe he sees a gap in the left wing as well. And listen, for that kind of price, if you can be able to pay installments for Eberechi Eze, that would be so exciting. Imagine Eze and Gyokeres adding to what we already have. That is what we've been begging for all this time. That would be so, so exciting. And again, if we manage to beat Liverpool to a player like this, if they really want him as well, that is another like what's the word? A bonus, basically another bonus point for Andrea Berta, for the rest of the Arsenal team, getting Zubimendi ahead of Real Madrid, getting Eze ahead of Liverpool, and getting a Gyokeres ahead of a Man United. All that is bragging rights as well. So that is great to have in the team for sure. So let's see what happens with the Eberechi Eze. Now, is it related to Madueke? Let's see. ESPN say Arsenal's talks with both Chelsea and Noni Madueke are ongoing and very positive, and the deal for a fee of 50 million euros could be done. So that's around 40 million pounds by the end of the week. Mikel Arteta has always been a big fan and believes he could develop Madueke into a great left winger. So they're talking about left winger because there's not going to be a right winger. Right winger is Saka's position. So how is it going to work out? If you get Madueke, then it's not possible to also get Rodrigo if they're going to play on the left wing, unless you're selling both Trossard and Martinelli to get Rodrigo and Madueke, which I doubt. So if the Madueke and Eze one both happen, I'm starting to think Rodrigo is not going to leave Real Madrid. And obviously, I say we need plan Bs and plan Cs. You can't just sit there and say we're waiting for Rodrigo because there's no guarantee he's going to leave there. So you might be wasting your time if you just sit there and wait for Rodrigo. We personally would have wanted a different kind of winger, like a Lookman or Liao or Nico Williams or Rodrigo, not really a Madueke or an Eze on the left side. And especially not Madueke as a starter on the left side. That is not even his position. And as a starter, no, I don't think we are looking for that kind of level of play. I mean, if you to ask Arsenal fans, they would say rather keep Martinelli or Trossard on that side than having Madueke starting on that left side. As a backup, again, not for 40 million, still too much, but let's see how it's going to go. But for me, I would have looked at other players really in that price and funding Chelsea and all that. I don't really like it. And if you can save that money and use it elsewhere for a different player. Again, we don't know what is happening behind the scenes. A lot of people are saying, why are we going for Sexco instead of Gyokeres? Who knows? Maybe they're also using Madueke as a way to lower the price for Eze. Maybe they're using Madueke as to get Eze, desperate and tell them, hey, listen, these guys are going for other players. Can we get this deal done quickly? Allow them to negotiate. Who knows? Maybe they're using Madueke also as a way to get other players. But let's see what happens this week. Maybe they're going to get all of them. Who knows? Maybe that thing about not having enough players last season has really damaged Arsenal and the board, and they're like, now we need to have enough players next season. So yeah, that is the latest on the transfer front. We're waiting to see the latest on Mosquera and Rodrigo and players like that. So let's see what is going to happen. And yeah, busy week coming up. Zubimendi done, Kepa done, but Nogard, when is he going to be announced? Gyokeres, when are we going to get the here we go? Eze, how quickly are we going to move? Madueke, are we going to make a bid soon? Is Chelsea going to accept it? Are we going to make another bid for Mosquera soon? The players who are potentially leaving. We haven't heard anything about the players leaving, by the way. Players like Fabio Vieira and Lokonga and Reece Nelson and Martinelli and Trossard, we're waiting to hear what is going to happen with them. There is a lot that is going to be done this week. So as always, I appreciate you guys watching. If you didn't check out the earlier live show, we discussed a lot and took you guys' comments on all these guys. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.